Welcome to another session of the HubSpot Admins Hug, my friends. We are here. This is your events landing page. If you are here right now, you've seen this page before. We've got a ton of events coming up. Today, Operations Hub. Next week, we're going to look at HubSpot mobile app and then the custom events in HubSpot. And then we've got another great session on credits. I know that one was a very big one that everyone really wanted to learn about. You've seen it in your portal if you've been in there lately. Come find out all of the things you need to know about those credits that you can spend. Messaging tools on August 5th, and then we're going to dive into calling on the 12th. And then we are taking a look at video on the 26th, and then we're going to look at some post-inbound events, so inbound rebounds, right after that in September. And then we've got all of those scheduled out all the way through October. So if you need to put something on your calendar, now is the time. Go ahead and add those to your calendar, and we will be taking a look at those. If you have ever missed an event and you need to find the recording, you can come to the HubSpot Admins Hug YouTube page. All of those recordings are here. It looks like we've got 141 videos for your viewing pleasure. Take a look at those. You can engage on those events, or if you have any questions, definitely hit those up, because I know I've seen people go and answer questions on those later in the day. If you have something amazing to share, which I know you all do, please, please, please go ahead and fill out that Admin Hug Show and Tell event form. As soon as we've got 5 or 6 of you that want to share what you've got, I want to get it on the calendar. We've already booked out until October, so the sooner the better, so that we can get something on the calendar. Those events are always great for learning and sharing all of the amazing things that all of you admins are doing. If you have not already, go ahead and join the Sprocketeer community. We have a space on the Sprocketeer community, but of course, our very favorite place to go is the Sprocketeer Slack. We have tons of our wonderful admin in there. We have, let's see, how many do we have at this time? Don't judge how many unread notifications I have. We've got tons and tons and tons of people in here. So make sure you're coming and joining us in the Sprocketeer Slack community. If you haven't already, go ahead and add that to your profile. The Super Admin Bootcamp is still not open. We had the HubSpot Week of Rest last week, which is why you didn't see us. If you have any issues with Bevy, sometimes it doesn't do what you want it to do. Sometimes the speakers aren't lined up with the sound. Make sure you go ahead and check this out, or refresh your browser, turn it off again. That's always works for us. If you've got an idea for an upcoming hug, make sure you submit those. Kyle and I review those all of the time, and we're always bringing this specialist from either the community or from the HubSpot product teams on to share all of those amazing things with you guys. If you haven't already connected with myself and Kyle, please do that. And we will love all of your feedback. If you're looking for someone to give you some information, I'm happy to direct you anywhere you need to go. So without further ado, our amazing team from the Operations Hub side, Cara and team, I will let you take it away.
Awesome. Thank you. Great to be here and nice to meet you all. I'm Cara. I am on the product team at HubSpot working on Operations Hub. I have been at HubSpot for 4 years and very excited to share some of the latest on what we're up to on the product team. So we'll share my screen. We have a great group of PMs who are going to share the latest and greatest and also give you a sneak preview of what's coming. So I will let them all come off mute and introduce themselves. Frans, do you want to kick us off?
Hey everybody, coming to you from Belgium. I am Frans Leys. I am a product manager on DataSync. I've joined HubSpot through the PySync acquisition back in 2019. And I'm going to be showing some cool new additions to DataSync. Jasmine?
Hello everyone, Jasmine Sarkazi joining from Salt Lake City. I am a PM on the datasets team, and today I'll be talking to you more about the dataset enhancements we have. Parth.
Hi everybody, my name is Parth. I'm from Chicago. I've been at HubSpot for about 2 years, and I'm the product manager for the data quality tools that we have. So that includes things like the Data Quality Command Center, the Manage Duplicates app, fixing formatting issues, property insights, missing data, etc. I'm excited to share with you some cool new things we've been working on.
I can go next. Mark Gonsalves here from London. Compared to the others, I'm fairly new to HubSpot, so this is almost birth by fire. But yeah, I'm representing warehouse integrations, and yeah, get a chance to talk to you about some new stuff that we're doing there.
Awesome. Everyone kind of mentioned what they're working on, but just to give you a brief overview of what we're going to show today. Frans is going to share the Monday integration updates, as well as a quick demo on custom objects. Parth has some updates on data quality and deduplication, and then some previews of improvements to data sets, and then warehouses. And we'll leave some time at the end for Q&A.
I'll go ahead and get started. Hopefully, the most challenging thing is selecting the right window to share now.
Always.
There we
That's
go.
great.
I'm excited to showcase something we recently launched in DataSync. DataSync is a sort of a HubSpot platform feature, but in order to fully leverage it, you do need Operations Hub Starter. And that's why DataSync is a part of this Operations Hub webinar. Last month, we launched a new two-way DataSync connector for Monday.com, which actually truly requires Operations Hub Starter to get it going. And I want to be clear, there's nothing special about us launching a new connector like Monday.com. We have like over 100 already built. We welcome suggestions to build net new ones. If you have them, drop them in the comments. Now, plenty of users do work with Monday.com. The real story that I want to tell is why this connector was even possible in the first place and what it could signal for the future of DataSync at HubSpot. Because I want to preface this demo of Monday.com, not by showing you the Monday.com connector, but showing you other things we unlocked in 2024. For instance, in the Dynamics connector, and by the way, all of these DataSync user interfaces, they are exactly alike. That's the beauty of a DataSync platform. Previously, DataSync used to follow like super rigid object combinations. You select accounts, well, yeah, sure, you can only select them to companies. And we essentially designed DataSync and all this connectivity coming from a HubSpot point of view. And that sucks because in Microsoft Dynamics, you have a whole set of entities, as they call them. They don't call them objects, they call them entities, that we were just never able to pull in because we could only send them into HubSpot default objects. So last year, we completely blew that away. So we have now unlocked, for instance, if you look at the Dynamics side, I think that Microsoft calls these the Dataverse. Like there's all these entities. I have no clue what these things are doing. Somebody working for Microsoft intimately, or somebody working with Dynamics intimately knows what these things are. You can pull them into HubSpot, but where would you pull them into in HubSpot? Well, you wouldn't really pull them into a company, but for sure, you can now also then pull these guys into custom objects, right? So if you create additional objects, custom objects in HubSpot, you can sync them into that. That's the thing that we unlocked last year, custom object sync, and it kind of like changed a couple of these core data sync apps. For Stripe, we were only just syncing customers because that's the only thing that we kind of had in common. But now we can fetch subscriptions, and if you have a custom object in HubSpot, and you call it Stripe subscriptions, you can bring those in. For the Airtable connector, which we had for a while, we completely blew it open. It was so limited. You had to like create a sheet in Airtable. It had to contain an email address, and only then could we sync it in. That's no longer true. You can now just sync any sheet with HubSpot back and forth in a two-way sync. And that sort of brings me to Monday.com, which kind of looks like Airtable. Monday.com, I think a lot of people using it alongside HubSpot consider Monday.com, which comes with a CRM offering of their own, but they would use Monday.com somewhat as a project management tool. So you would often have, like very bespoke things, very random sheets, tables, stuff that you may want to get into HubSpot. And that's where our data sync comes in. So here I'm already syncing two things here. As you can see with my Monday.com, like it looks like a sheet, right? You have some multiple sheets. I actually have contacts here. These are the contacts that I am currently syncing with my HubSpot contacts. Cool. But the thing is, it could be anything, right? Sure, it actually happens to be called contacts, but here is a sheet which is called app projects. This could be a random thing. This could be ultimately a custom object in HubSpot. And that's what I can now bring into HubSpot as well. So let's go ahead and do that. I'll go ahead and sync data. Now, the hierarchy of Monday.com is you have workspaces. So I'm going to grab, I think it sits in the sales CRM, where I created an object called app project, and it's not an object, it's called a board. But then in HubSpot, I can bring that, maybe these are contacts and you want them to bring in as contacts, you can, but I'm going to bring them in as a custom object, which I created beforehand. If not, you can just create it here on the fly, and I'm going to call app projects. And this lands you in a familiar data sync interface. Like every data sync follows these 4 quick steps. But you do need, because this is custom object, we kind of can't take everything for granted. So there's a couple of things we will ask now in addition, which is, okay, record matching. Is this data, do you already have a couple of these things in HubSpot? If so, do we need to match like on anything? Potentially on the name of the app that you're building. That could be a thing to match on. If you're syncing in contacts, you probably want to match on email, because what data sync does is it does this initial pull to see what exists, and then it locks on, matches, and then updates subsequently. So record matching is quite important. Now, you don't have to do that. If you're bringing this like net new in and you don't really know what you're going to match, just put this, it's fine. Data sync keeps a living memory of what it's synced before. So it will like create its own identifier. So we actually will leverage the IDs in cells. And also with field mappings. So typically when you do data sync, you get like beautiful default field mappings. You just have to like click next and you're through. Now you do have to like set up some field mappings more. But here there's like required field mappings on either side. Well, this one just resolves itself. What else would we want to have? Let's see what we have here. I want to probably bring over this time here, which is called a deadline. And I want to probably sync that into another timestamp field that I have here. You could bring over that record ID. So we didn't have this for the longest time, the actual ability to like map record IDs. So in case you ever wanted to do this with data sync, rest assured you can do that now. So I created a field in my Monday thing to drop my HubSpot record ID in if ever I want to like debug something. Or maybe if in the future I want to like match on the record ID, you can. And the cool thing is this can handle associations. So that was actually what we worked on for the longest time. Like unlocking associations is so hard, because an association like this, sure, this looks like names and like, but this actually points to another table which comes with foreign IDs. So in the sync, we have to do this complex thing of like translating and sort of like run a sync on top of a sync in order to keep track of all these associations, so you can bring those over as well. So in my case, you probably want to bring in like the contact that sits in there, and then I have on my custom object in this case, I have an association with contact which I can bring in over. It's currently one way. We found like a little bug that preventing us to do like to make it two-way, but we'll hopefully get that in two-way soon as well. On the next tab, I can choose to either sync everything. Again, this is like any data sync app, or I can maybe only sort of like do a diff, only like match onto what exists in HubSpot, and then vice versa. If it exists in HubSpot but not yet in Monday, I do want it to be created. You kind of get that control over here. I'm just going to go for everything here and hit review and save and sync, and that's how you would now set up data sync. Again, I demoed Monday.com. But these changes kind of do apply to like all of the data sync apps. Welcoming like suggestions also for other data sync connectors. But I'm really excited about like how this sort of like opened up our scope, because previously we were just looking at, well, does this fit inside of the HubSpot default objects, yes or no? And now we're kind of like opening it up to like bring more of that data into HubSpot. So that's it for me.
Thanks,
I'll
Frans.
be do we handle questions now, or do we like do them async?
You can do them now if it's something that's relevant, especially like how did you get to this screen? Like you're already here. Feel free to go and do it now, or we can do it later.
So I covered, I think, associations. There is the rules for what gets present in case there's already data in a property. Yeah, so that's where this setting here comes in. So in my case, so imagine this sync is now running, which doesn't, there's essentially no conflict anymore because I'm now running a bidirectional sync. But if I'm not yet running a bidirectional sync and I do have data on both sides, and I happen to have a project called Project Amazon Deal, right? And I happen to have the same thing in HubSpot, but it's called Project Amazon Super Deal. Well, only one of those two can survive as name of the app. And that's where this setting comes in, the data conflict resolution. You only have that control on like on a global level. I sometimes hear the request like, can we do it on a per field level? We don't have that, but if you're not comfortable with a certain piece of data like being overridden, like just remove it from the sync. Or you can also like make the sync go just one way or the other. We are like the way how our data sync works. It's a bit different from how you would typically organize an integration in an iPaaS like a Zapier or Make or Mercado. In those types of trigger action scenarios, you're always setting up very I don't want to call them destructive, but they can be destructive. Like you will really say like, okay, this is the data and it should just be going like that in HubSpot. Regardless if there's already data, it should just go in there. But with data sync, we are aware of changes happening maybe on either side. So if something like is being synced and you happen to then change it manually, we won't immediately like override it again. No, because that would be like a weird game of whack-a-mole that you would have to play. We'll be respective of manual changes happening. So data sync works somewhat differently from your average iPaaS. Give it a try. You can always run this in a sandbox. You can the beautiful thing about Monday.com is just create a quick test board, right? Just create a quick, like literally what I did, a test data board, and you can run these filtered syncs to see how the sync works.
Awesome. Thanks, Frans. We'll pass over to Parth to talk data quality.
Awesome. Cool. So I wanted to briefly remind you, my name is Parth. I'm the product manager for the data quality tools here at HubSpot. I saw a few questions of data quality related already in the chat, so I've started to answer them, and hopefully I can get the rest of your questions answered. But I want to take a quick step back and chat about what we've done so far in 2025 and what we've gotten out to customers. So these are just some of the new features that we've launched. Earlier this year, we got out the control panel for fixing formatting issues that allows you to determine which formatting issues you care about so that the number is not too high and it's not too low, and you're able to keep track of what you really care about. We've released missing data inside of Data Quality Command Center, allowing you to quickly check what data is missing and ideally enrich them. We've got updates to the merge modal inside of both dedupe as well as the merge experience on a record page where you can customize and click which winning property you want in a final record. I have a little bit more about that on the next slide. Real-time dedupe is also now in GA for OpsUp Pro and Enterprise customers, which means that duplicate scanning is happening in real time. Previously, it happened once a day. And I think that this is going to be a big win for customers because you can technically bring in an import or set up a sync, and hopefully it should be able to identify duplicates for you really, really quickly. And then lastly, our data quality insights in different places inside of HubSpot. If you like to use the reporting feature, you've likely seen the new data quality tab inside of Report Viewer. That's been awesome and has been helping customers see data quality insights on properties that they're using inside of a report. And then, of course, there is property settings where you can manage your properties, those that we track or have kind of property insights for, as well as you can set up anomaly monitoring for. Those insights are now seen inside of that property setting modal for that property. And then lastly is auto merge and audit log, but I don't want to chat too much about that because I have something to show you. So zooming into the merge modal, I think that this was a huge win for us, and there's a ton of new updates here. So it goes one step beyond just being able to select the winning property when you're determining what you want to keep between two records. At the bottom are 3 new changes that we've made. So previously on this merge modal, you just had the option to review, and then you can close out and X out this modal. And we pretty much had the cancel button here, and then we had this X button here. So a lot of customers were like, hey, this is great, but I want to do this really, really, really quickly, and I have so many to get through. So it'd be nice if I could speed up my process. And what we thought what a quick way to do this would be to change up the actions that you can actually complete on this merge modal. So now we've kind of changed this up. So you now have the ability to merge and review next. You have the ability to reject this and review next, or you can just skip this entirely and review next. And I think that this speeds up the process. It's a small change, it's a small win, but I think that this has the potential of having a high impact on your workflow, especially for an admin or an ops manager that is spending a lot of your time inside of data quality tools and inside of dedupe. This is a quick way to start going through a lot of your duplicates if you don't want to auto merge them, or you believe that these may not fit the auto merge criteria. Now, the second thing I wanted to show, and I wanted to make sure I didn't mess this up, so I recorded a short video, is auto merge. Hi, folks. Excited to share an update with you on new features we brought into the Managed Duplicates experience. First is speed/frequency. Previously, Ops Hub Pro Plus customers had their duplicates can happen once a day. This now happens in real time for Ops Hub Pro and Enterprise. What this means is that if I bring in an import with duplicate records, this page should show me them immediately. Second is auto merge. If you click auto merge settings, you'll see a side panel that now allows you to set up a rule to automatically merge records that are identified as duplicate by our model. We've allowed you to choose from 3 different properties for contacts and 4 different properties for companies. Let's go ahead and set up the contacts one. So I'll click on, I'll say first name and phone number, and I'll click Save Contact Settings. What this means is that if a record is identified as a duplicate by our tool and the first name and phone numbers match between the records exactly, then the system will automatically merge them for us. So we're going to go ahead and close this out, and we're going to head over to import to see this in action. Here we are inside of import. We're going to click import a file. We're going to start a import. We're going to do companies. We'll click next. We're going to choose a file. This is our fun dummy data for demo file. We're going to click create new contacts only, and then we'll hit next. So it's already gone through and taken a peek. Everything is looking pretty. We'll click next again. We'll say my legal basis for all of this is a legitimate interest. They're leads. This is dummy data, don't worry. And then we're going to click finish import. Import is now complete. Now I've found myself back inside of the Managed Duplicates tool. As part of the sheet that I imported, I had 2 contacts in there. One was Olive Gomez, and another was Olive Clark. Olive Clark and Olive Gomez both had the same first name, and they had the same phone number. So if this model picked up both of these records as duplicates of each other, and since auto merge is already on, theoretically, those records should not be here. So let's go ahead and take a peek at it. So we'll do Olive Clark. We get nothing. Let's try Olive Gomez. We also get nothing. Awesome. So again, this doesn't really tell me 100% though that these records were definitely merged. So here's what we can do to check. Page. We're going to hit activities, and then we can check here to make sure. Here we are. Merge. Olive Clark was merged with Olive Gomez. Today, July 7th at 3:53 p.m., where I am sitting currently, it is Central Time Zone, and it is 3:55. So cool. I'll skip the rest of the video. That's just me blabbering more on about why this is super important, but I'd rather just tell you myself. I think that this feature is going to be awesome for customers, and we started to get pretty great feedback around the earlier / public beta of this feature. I think one key thing to remember is this is not only super useful if you're an ops manager or an admin, but there are a lot of folks who are starting to use data quality tools that may be marketers, that may be sales folk, and they may not have the time to come in and, do their data quality cleanup every single day because they have to worry about, creating campaigns or lead scoring to sell more of their product. And I think for those customers, auto merge positions itself really well because they can ideally set something up and then just come back to review. Awesome. Now, one additional piece of feedback we started to get from customers really quickly after this was released is like, hey, you're auto merging and that's awesome, but how do I know what was auto merged? Like many times customers are bringing in a ton of records inside of an import. And the problem is that they're not going to go through every single one of them on their Microsoft Excel or Google Sheet and then determine, okay, yeah, these 2 were duplicates. Let me go check if this was auto merged. And that starts to become a little bit of a pain point for customers. And so we took that feedback, and before we even went to GA with this feature, which we're not even in GA yet, is that we launched a audit log for the auto merge feature. So now inside the manage duplicates tool on the top right, there's an actions button. If you hit actions and then you click view history, that'll bring you to this page. On one tab, you'll see every record that has been auto merged. You'll see some insight on, okay, what were the 2 contacts? What's the primary record? It'll be linked there. So if you click on it, it'll take you straight to the primary record. What rule it was. Right now, of course, there's only HubSpot AI that identifies those duplicates, and then the date and time that this happened. And then if they have this for both contacts and companies, and then a lot of you have seen the ability to see rejected duplicates and then undo that. That is just been brought into this experience. So everything is in one place. So you don't have to worry about going to multiple different places at the same time. Now, these are a lot of things that we've been working on, but of course, there's always more work to be done. We want you all to ideally have an experience that where you can work with your customers to make sure that data quality is bringing them the most impact as possible. And so there's a lot of things that we're working on right now, both like towards, Q3 and Q4, but also starting the groundwork right now for 2026 and beyond. And so there's a lot of new improvements coming to our tools. First is we're planning to have some data quality tools being available to more and more customers and expand our ability to do automation and cleanup so that a lot of work just happens for customers in the background. We don't want customers to have to really come into data quality and take a ton of manual actions every single day. That becomes a bit tough. But ideally, we want customers to come into data quality and be able to review work that has been done for them. And that is the kind of avenue that we're taking with data quality, is less you having to come in and spending a lot of time, and more you just come in and check whether or not something's been done, and we kind of take care of it for you. Second is formatting issues. A larger piece of feedback that we've gotten from customers is, hey, like the tool's working great, but I have way too many formatting issues that I can't get through. Right now, it's limited in terms of being able to resolve 50 at a time. And a lot of people just have thousands of formatting issues for locations or email or name, et cetera. And so we're investing time into trying to build automation tools for customers so that it's ready to use outside of the box. You can come in, you can see all the formatting issues that you have, and then you can determine, okay, I'm pretty confident about all this location stuff. Just go ahead and accept it for me and just let me know when it's done. And then that will be something that really speeds up the process for customers. And so we're investing a lot of time and resources into building out automation tools there. Third is manage duplicates. There's 2 large ones that are coming out here hopefully soon. One is going to be a lot more flexibility into auto merge and automation. So I can see a lot of questions already in the chat about auto merge and the ability to add a lot more properties and more customizability there. That is definitely something that is on the roadmap for us. And we're investing our time to identify what's the easiest way to get this out in front of customers so that you all can start taking advantage of it. And second, and probably the most requested feature for data quality, is the ability to kind of customize and identify what rule or how you determine what a duplicate is. Today, there's an AI model that works in the background that determines duplicates based on a list of properties for contacts and companies. We've seen customers say, hey, that's great, but I also have this custom property that I really care about, or I don't really want to define duplicates in the way that you do. I want to define duplicates in a very custom way to my team or my company. And so we're trying to invest time into allowing customers to be able to do just that and determine what a duplicate is for you. And then ideally being able to auto merge that moving forward. So you kind of get this full 100% 0-to-1 ownership of how duplicates are identified, how duplicates are cleaned up, and then you can track them to make sure that nothing is going wrong. And if it is, you can take quick actions to solve it. And then lastly is spending a lot of time on working with other teams and collaborating with other teams at HubSpot to get data quality insights in those places. And so a lot of those conversations have already begun. We've started scoping out some work for customers there. Is that essentially data quality insights are most helpful when you're working your normal workflow and you're able to see and determine if something is helpful or if something can potentially go wrong. There are potential downstream effects to this, not just for ops managers and admins, but also marketers and sales folk, right? And so inside of your workflow on a daily basis, whether you're creating a report or you're creating a new dashboard, or you're setting up a campaign, you're creating a list, whatever it may be, we want you to be able to see data quality insights in context where you are so that we don't have to take you somewhere else to be able to show DQ issues for the record you're working on or for the list you're working on. We want to show you right there and ideally be able to resolve those issues for you. And so those are a lot of the kind of updates that are coming up for data quality. Some of these tools we're trying to make available at the Ops Hub Starter level. Others will be available at the Ops Hub Pro and Enterprise level. A lot of the automation and AI tools that we're investing in will be more tailored towards our Ops Hub Pro and Enterprise customers and upmarket customers there. But don't worry, Ops Hub Starter as well. Ops Hub Starter, like, we haven't forgotten about you. We have stuff cooking, and hopefully we'll be able to give data quality insights and tools to a lot more people really soon. That's my little spiel. And I know that we have some questions, so let me open up the Q&A.
Thanks, Parth. I think just with the time we have left, we may hand it over to Jasmine, but we can...
I'll go through and answer in chat.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. Cara, do you want to do the intro for the dataset enhancements?
Sure. All right. We have a very exciting preview for you. And just a disclaimer, we have these improvements to datasets, what we are calling Data Studio, in a private beta that is confidential. We ask that you don't proactively share this out on social media yet. We are looking for feedback though, and if you'd like to be included in the beta, please send over your portal ID to us directly. We can share emails if you want to reach out to me and Jasmine as well. But I will let Jasmine take it away with a demo.
Cool. Let me see if this is the correct window. Okay. Just checking everyone can see the Data Studio window. Okay. Cool. All right. So we are introducing Data Studio, which is the new data playground for combining, enhancing, and activating your customer data. So for the first time, you will be able to manage and visualize all your external data directly in HubSpot. So you do not need to model it in your CRM first. There's no need to import, map, create records and properties before you actually put your data to use. Now, you can easily get data from Google Sheets, Office 365 Excel, and dozens of other data sync apps, data warehouses like Snowflake and BigQuery, as well as flat files like CSV, all within one workspace in Data Studio. So this is separate from HubSpot CRM. This is the space for you to play with your data, combine, enhance, and activate it. And datasets traditionally used to be for reporting. We are expanding beyond reporting. We are moving to workflows, lists, exporting it to your Google Sheets or Office 365 Excel. And if you so wish to, syncing your data to CRM. So for the purpose of this demo, I'm going to set the stage. Imagine you hosted a in-person marketing event, and you've collected information from the various attendees in a Google Sheet. So you run a business for a home automation device systems, and a lot of these attendees have given their names, emails, indicated interest in different products that you sell, and you have all of this in Google Sheet. Without Data Studio, you would have to import this data and update properties on your HubSpot contacts. Now let's see what I would have to do. I have my Google Sheet account authenticated here. So I'll just click on select for that. I will open my Google Drive here. And it's taking a minute for that. Okay. I indicate that this is the account I want to sign in, and I'll pick up the Google Sheet that has all the data. So here it is, select. As is with my internet connection, it was a little slow. Okay, so the first tab in the sheet is already selected. So now you will be able to see a preview of all the information over here. You are seeing multiple contact names. They have indicated interest in different products, the different interest levels. You have captured the email address. Very easily, you can get a preview of your Google Sheet right here, indicate which is your header tab, and just add the data source. When I say add a data source, you've not imported this in CRM. This is in your HubSpot Data Studio space. So it appears under external data sources for Data Studio. This is just all the data you can collect from a variety of different sources and consolidate in HubSpot. So while this is processing, I can show you what it would normally look like when you bring in the Google Sheet file. That this data gets synced every 5 minutes. As soon as there is an update made in your Google Sheet file, within 5 minutes, that data becomes available in HubSpot. Now, you can start building your data set from right here. But for the focus of the demo, my objective is to find out which of my HubSpot contacts attended this event and then find out the average interest level across products and probably send them different email campaigns or segment them differently. So I'll just go back and click on create dataset. So this is where we have revamped how the HubSpot dataset building process happens. We'll select HubSpot contacts, click on next, and you'll see by default certain columns for HubSpot contacts have been added in the dataset. And I'll go ahead and add this data source that I had, Google Sheet. Again, I haven't written any of this to CRM. So this is living in a different space. I pick this up, click continue. So this is something we're continually trying to improve, but we know what we're going to match on. I've collected emails from these attendees, and I have emails on HubSpot contacts. So I'll match them on emails, pretty similar to what Frans showed for data sync. And here we go, email. A new concept you'll see here is a summarized view display. So prior to this, we didn't allow you to do grouping of data within dataset. Grouping was only possible within reports. So if there is a contact with multiple deals, you would see multiple rows of contacts. Sometimes people would get confused. Sometimes they would want to do some aggregation. In this case, because there are multiple records in your Google Sheet for the same contact, I want to focus on the contact itself and roll up everything that's there in Google Sheet to contacts. So I'll select aggregate the data for my primary object, which is contact. And within seconds, you will have this data available in your data set, which includes your Google Sheet as well as your HubSpot contact data. So what's new here is you'll see summarized view and an unsummarized view. Breaking it down, the unsummarized view is all your raw data, everything in your HubSpot contacts, and things that match with it in Google Sheet. So you will see in the first row, Quinn attended the in-person event and has indicated interest level of 1 for Smart Home Assistant. But you also see that Mia and Kelly, they don't have any records in Google Sheet. They didn't attend the event. So step 1, I'll just go ahead and filter them out. So anyone who doesn't have a Google Sheet will be filtered out. So now in my raw data, I have all the folks who attended the event and have a corresponding record in HubSpot. So you can see multiple rows of that data. Now, let's go to the summarized view. This is the group data that I talked about, where things can get pulled up to your primary object. Here you will see a variety of columns from the Google Sheet have been added with some aggregation. Maybe this is of not interest to you, so I'll remove all the default aggregations here and focus on what do we want to calculate, which is the interest level the customer had shown or the attendee had shown in your product. So that's the column. I'll add a summarization here and make sure that anything else is removed. Here in the summarized view, you will see only your contacts who attended the event and what is the average interest level that they had in your products across the different products. So this is great information. I haven't written this to CRM. I haven't written any of the Google Sheet data or created specific property. So now I go ahead and save this as my demo data set, and I'll show you what you can do. You can go beyond reporting, like I mentioned. We'll start with triggering a workflow. You can access this data set in workflow, and none of this data was in CRM. So I click on workflow. Today, you can access a data set on a schedule. So you can enroll these records on a schedule in a workflow and do more with it. So in this case, I am able to run the workflow either daily or at least once. For the purpose of demo, I want to run it once. But what do I want to do? I want to branch based on the interest level. And I have access to that information via the dataset. This is a calculated property that I had in the dataset. So I go over here, click on insert, and you have access to all the dataset properties that were there in the summarized view. So here is your average of interest level. I'll go ahead and create branch where if interest level is less than 2, then send them a different email perhaps. And if interest level is greater than or equal to 3, then send them another set of email. You can do a variety of actions. This is all external data. You calculate it in data sets. You did not have to deal with the data clutter or cleanup later on. And now I can decide for anyone who had less interest, I want to send out a different email. Anyone who had more interest, I want to probably send out a survey. So a variety of options here. Going back, what are the other things you can do with it? Creating a segment. So the same data sets, let's use it to filter the data first and then create a list. So I'll go ahead, click edit, open up the data set. And now I only want the average interest level for certain fields. So if my product, here is the product information. If the product is, say, contains the word smart, so not universal remote, then I want to create a list on that. So let's say contains any of smart. And that's it, apply. So you will see that the average interest level would change because I am eliminating, or it did not contain smart. So I'll just go back to the data set where I have something already set up for you. Okay, here we go. Yes, so this is a pre-created data set for the situations like this where the demo could run into some issues. Here I have created an interest type where if the interest is high enough, I have created a column that says high. And now I can use this data set to create a list. So that data existed only in the data set. It didn't exist in CRM, but I was able to create a list based on it. Now, I can edit filters here. So in addition to these contacts being part of a data set, I can add filters to think about their marketing contact status or anything else with events that are related. And I can review and save this as a static list. For the purposes of the beta, you can only create a static list, but we are definitely looking into enabling schedule list over here, where every time when your external data updates, your data set updates, and at a particular schedule, you can update your list and create segments based on external or calculated data. What you could also do, going back over here, is use this data set to sync to CRM. So if you so desire that you have a calculated field and you want to do more with it, you can take this data and map it to different CRM objects. In this case, my primary object was contact, and I do want to write the property, the average interest level, and create a new one. You can map all of these columns and select average interest level, choose a property or create a new property and map it to HubSpot. Very similar to what you're used to with data sync tools. You can select to just update the records instead of create an update, or if you have a new Google Sheet with new records and you've never actually had these contacts in HubSpot, you can do a create only operation as well. Apart from all of this, you also have an option to export this data, as I mentioned earlier, to either a CSV file, Google Sheets, or Office 365 Excel. And you can, in the future, set up recurring exports. So if you want your data available combined with HubSpot, any other external app, with the calculations in another tool at a recurring basis, you will be able to do that in the future. For now, we are supporting one-time exports to Google Sheet, Office 365, as well as for downloading at desktop. So this is how we are thinking about enabling, bringing different data sources, combining it with HubSpot in Data Studio, Data Playground, and helping you achieve more without having to map, model, and restrict yourself to HubSpot's data model. Okay, I see a lot of comments and questions, so I will probably just look at that. Anything? Do we have time for Mark to go after this?
Yeah, we can have everybody put their questions in the Q&A so that Mark can go. Just lots of love in the chat, Jasmine, just so you know.
Okay, I will stop sharing. Okay.
Thanks. That's going to be a tough follow up. But yeah, I'll try my best. All right. Yeah. So I'm the PM working on warehouse integrations, and there is going to be a flavor of how that integrates into Data Studio, which again will sort of help with the context already shared. For a lot of people that don't, I guess warehouses are becoming really popular, especially if you've got different sources of data coming in. You use old legacy systems, etc. Or if you're running a lot of AI modeling on top of your raw unstructured data, you would typically do that in your warehouse and then bring them back into HubSpot. Like, for example, lead scoring is a great example. You do that kind of modeling and then bring that data into HubSpot, and you can do that using Data Studio. So I'm going to caveat that. So I'll probably demo that in some time. Yeah. So what do we have right now? So we have what we're calling data share, which is a way for you to copy over your data into some of the popular warehouses. And currently we support Snowflake, BigQuery, and Amazon S3. And then we have a way to bring in back your data via what we're calling data ingestion, which copies it, again, it brings the data into your CRM, following the similar kind of sync format that Frans demoed earlier. And brand new, what we worked on right now is the ability to bring that data into Studio directly and then enrich that data with, say, your your contacts, or whether it's Google Sheets, or whether it's Zendesk tickets, whatever you want, at your heart's content, based on what's available in Studios. So yes, I'm quickly going to spend a little time on the stuff that we already have, and then do a demo of what's going to be available in Studios. So what we have right now, data share allows you to copy over your data, like I mentioned, into Snowflake. It's really handy because it can copy over all of your data, whether that's events, whether that's property, different types of property associations, all of it into Snowflake. And then it allows for a lot of customers that we have that have data analysts sort of running on data, or analyzing data, or using raw data in Snowflake. This is really popular. And yeah, like I said, the other way is what is becoming really popular now, is bringing back that data into HubSpot. Like, say, for example, a calculated field like lead score or churn model. These are usually popular calculated fields that you want to bring back into HubSpot. Um, so that's what we have right now. So now I'll do a quick demo of what's going to be available in Data Studio. Again, hopefully this works. So just following on from what Jasmine was doing earlier. So if say you're going to bring in contact information, and in my Snowflake, I've got a lead score field on contact information, which is done from combining with some fancy LLM model, and you want to bring that data back in, you can do that fairly easily, he says, by connecting to your data, your Snowflake. So again, I've not gone through this in this demo, but there is a flow to actually set up your Snowflake, your BigQuery, etc., to Data Studio, similar to how Jasmine showed earlier. So say, for example, I was going to bring in my contact information. I know that I have to join on this and inner join, and yeah, so that allows me to bring in, well, right now it's the aggregate. I'll probably remove some of these. And yeah, it allows me to bring in my Snowflake data. So this is my Snowflake data available. So if I were to quickly go through my Snowflake, again, this is for people that have seen Snowflake before. Your Snowflake data could live in different kinds of databases and tables. So I'm currently bringing in my customer data in here. So I want to bring in I wanted to bring in their lead score. I'm going to call it account balance now because it's just a number. And if I were to say, okay, I only care about those, because it's a demo, I'm just going to make it more believable, right? I'm going to call it lead score. And I want to only filter. I care about the scores that are above 5,000 because that's my range, right? So add a filter for lead score, and my filter is that it has been is greater than or equal to 5,000. So what I've done here is I've joined my existing contact data with what's available in my in my Snowflake, and I have enhanced it by bringing in the lead score information, which is again what my say my data analyst or we've calculated using some AI model, and we've now sort of enriched and scored leads that were existing already in HubSpot. Now, what I can do from here onwards is basically what we've seen already, which is we can create a workflow, we can create a list, we can create a report, and we can then perform some actions on it. And similarly, I can also add. I'm just going to go into BigQuery. So for those that use BigQuery, you can do the similar kind of BigQuery setup again. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but if I were to already show something that's available, because okay, let me use this. And similarly, if I were to add one of my BigQuery sources, and yep, similar kind of functionality where I can add, I can join the data and then enhance it in HubSpot. Yeah, so that's pretty much what I had for warehouses. I think where we're going with this is we want to start supporting more warehouses in the future. I know Azure and Databricks is quite popular. We also want to make it more easy and accessible for folks to leverage some of these warehouse functionalities and bring them into, whether it's use them in data studios and then workflows, etc., or directly sync it to your CRM or ingest the data. That's where we want to get to. Yeah, I'm going to stop sharing now, and then we said we're going to save some time at the end for Q&A if there's big questions in there.
We've got several questions. I've been reminding everybody to go over there and upvote your questions. Make sure that you're checking out any answers because Part's been very great in answering those in line. So if you did upvote something, make sure you are checking out the answer there as well. I'm going to give everybody another minute to upvote those before I go. Thank you guys very much. In case we run out of time, there are a ton of questions. We're probably not going to get through all of them. Just be reassured, everybody. I'm going to make sure that the team gets all of the questions over there, and they will be in touch. Fill out the feedback form and give them all of your information, and we'll make sure that we get everybody connected. All right. Hopefully that gave you enough time to get your Q&A upvoted. All right. Let's start with the very top with 14 questions upvotes. Any thoughts on allowing more than 10 custom objects per HubSpot account now that we can connect all of these different data synced objects?
Good question. In a way, seeing how you just saw what Data Studio can leverage, you may not need to sort of replicate, right, all of what's sitting in Dynamics as an actual custom object. So maybe there's already a new way to think about not ever hitting that limit, because you don't necessarily need the actual object in HubSpot. That's one way to not answer the question directly. Truth be told, I do not own the actual limit, but we can take that feedback upstream.
I hear you're HubSpot admin and you guys know how to work around things, especially given lots of tools that were introduced today. Let's see. Are there any plans to allow auto apply the formatting issues proposed fixes?
Yeah, we're working on, we know a lot of folks have thousands of formatting issues for location, for email and name. There's certain automation capabilities that exist already today, but we're working by ourselves to make sure that we can implement larger automation for the rest of the formatting tools, so you don't have to worry about manually going through 50 at a time or even one at a time, but that you should be able to just turn on an automation and it'll do it for you. Second, we're also chatting with the team that owns properties overall at HubSpot to see if we can increase validation and increase validation for when data comes into HubSpot in the first place. And so we'll try to solve for you in both ways, prevent bad data from coming in. And then if bad data gets in, which inevitably it does, we'll help you clean it much more quickly.
I love that. That's a good answer. Let's see, scrolling down. A request, can we get a Notion Sync connector, please? Does Data Sync support highly sensitive properties, preparing to have to connect to Dynamics and eventually to Snowflake for bank secure data?
Yep, we do. That was also one of these things that took the longest time to develop at the end of last year, because a lot of it was still on PySig infra. Yeah, we support them.
Yay.
So
love that. I think this falls here. Any plans to improve the create associations workflow step to not be case sensitive? Also needs to have the ability to search for a second email address on the record, not only the primary email address.
It's a good question. I can follow up with the workflows team on that one.
I love that. Let's see. This auto dedupe is amazing. Any thoughts on expanding this to auto merge contacts based on more fields like emails or company name?
Yeah, 2 points to this. First is that we're already looking at being able to support more properties. The extent of how many properties we can support on the auto merge feature today is limited based on the properties that are used when identifying duplicates for contacts and companies. So there's a specific list we look at when identifying those dupes, right? For contacts and companies, you can find that list on the knowledge base article. So we're limited to those, but we're trying to get to a place where customers can be able to define what is a duplicate in the first place. And in that world, they should be able to auto merge whatever the heck they want. Whatever rule they decide, they should be able to auto merge that. And so that should resolve the concern of, can we get more properties? Because you should be able to define the duplicate and then auto merge that.
I love that. That's a great answer also. You guys just have all the good answers. Let's see. It seems that the custom associations like custom contact usually require custom mapping or logic, which is not available. That kind of just answered that a little bit. Do you have anything additional to add to that? Good. Okay. Will it be possible to adjust to cleanup suggestions to check the IP region against the state selection before suggesting state property cleanup based on common city, i.e. LLM recommending AL for Montgomery, even though the state selection is CO and IP region matches that?
Yeah, so the current way that we look at location is that we try to target it based on we have an internal system that looks at and validates whether or not something matches, like a state matches with a country, city matches with a state, etc. We haven't really thought more about being able to configure and allow a lot more settings opportunities there. So like validate these based on checking with this other property. I'm sure that may be something that we can look into, but it's not something that we've committed or prioritized just yet. We're more so looking to see if we can get customers to quickly clean all of those up. That's like step one. And then step two is like allowing a lot more functionality there. But I would love to chat with you about that. So I will drop my meeting link and then we can chat.
I'm going to ask one more question just because I know it got a lot of upvotes and a lot of comments in the chat is which of these updates are for Ops Starter versus Pro versus Enterprise? So maybe start with Enterprise. Which ones are Enterprise only so that we can...
So primarily the warehouse integration. So what Mark shared is Enterprise. Data Studio will be Pro and Enterprise. And then auto merge, real-time dedupe, those are Pro and Enterprise. And then a version of data quality. The formatting issues are available on Starter, and Frans, I believe, Starter and above.
Yep.
Love that. That's great. Well, I appreciate you guys. I've dropped your contact information in the chat for everyone, and I will again share this with the team so they have all of the questions, all of the chat, and they can reach back out if they have any questions to you. Thank you guys for joining us. I appreciate it, and I will see everyone next week on Tuesday for the next hug. Have a great week. Bye, everybody.